and they also have them here in the packet. So I guess, do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Tim Stahl, seconded by
I'll second it.
Morris Ravello. You have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are carried. Okay, the notice of the meeting was, put in the Palladium Times on September 4th, 2021. And, the next item on our agenda is, excuse me, Lakeside Commons LLC. And, Mike, Kevin, do you guys wanna
Sure, I can,
take care of that?
start out. This is Kevin. Howard Rittenberg, who is the attorney for the Newman Group, who are the owners of Lakeside Commons, is on the phone as well this morning and available to answer any questions or even to give a very short presentation. But what is being proposed is that Lakeside Commons is being sold to a third party that has not had any prior involvement with this project or the IDA. But myself, Mike, and Kevin have met and conferred with both the buyer and the seller now to kind of vet them for what their plans are. And fundamentally, the plan is to just keep the business running the way it is. This is the college student housing project out in the town of Oswego, right off of 104 in Fruit Valley. It's been running for at least 3 years and had received IDA assistance. There's a pilot agreement. The new owners are not looking for anything beyond what the current project has by way of financial assistance and benefits. This is strictly an assignment and an assumption of all of the rights and obligations that Lakeside Commons and Newman Group have now will be conveyed over to this new group. So, Howard, is there anything else that you would like to add or?
Just to mention, thank you for that, but also just to mention that the current property manager, which is NDG Student Living Doing Business as Varsity, they've been managing the property since for the last number of years. They will also be retained as the manager, the property manager for the purchaser, so the transition will be seamless. The quality of the management will obviously remain the same, and the project will continue as a first-class student housing project.
And Howard, just to recap, I believe that the capacity or residency right now is exceeding 90%, I believe, right? Is that,
My understanding is 91-point-something%.
right.
Approaching 92 right now.
I just have two quick questions. What's the name of the purchasing company? Do we know that? I mean, is that open?
Yeah, they are. Howard, correct me if I'm wrong. This is a membership purchase agreement, correct? They're purchasing the LLC or the membership in the LLC.
No, they're purchasing the asset.
So the asset.
They're not purchasing the membership. We're selling them the real property and assigning all of the leases.
Okay. It is a group primarily headquartered out of Brooklyn, I believe, but they are also in this business. They have acquired other student housing around the state, Binghamton.
area, SUNY, Binghamton.
Yeah, so they do have a track record of operating college student housing projects. They do have a couple of ideas for enhancing the college living experience. One of them that they're hopeful is to reach out to SUNY Oswego and open up the trail in the back, so there's a direct link to campus, and instead of these kids walking down 104 to get to class, those that don't drive. So that's certainly would be an improvement. Yeah. So beyond that, that's who.
So we have a name.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that, thank you.
The name of the entity,
The name of the
SPG.
entity, the purchasing entity is SPG Oswego Equities LLC. SPG Oswego Equities LLC.
But they are a downstate concern.
Do they have the financial wherewithal to maintain it and keep it up and not be concerned about letting it get run down? that
Right.
kind of thing?
Exactly.
According to the people we talked with, this company used to, was primarily a construction company. They did a lot of development in Manhattan and New Jersey, but they discovered that it was a very lucrative business to get involved in student housing. So now their primary business is not building, but acquiring existing student housing facilities and running and improving them.
And my second question, is there any local review, any zoning or anything like that with the town?
No, because nothing is changing by way of, the footprint or the use of the property itself, so there wouldn't be a zoning review or requirement there. Other than, they're under a pilot agreement, so that the assessment could change depending on the sale price that's reported, but because they're in a pilot agreement, they're gonna be paying, pursuant to that agreement.
And everything is current and up to date with the,
Yes, yep.
Kevin, do you have, there's a manager on the property?
Yeah, so there's an on-site manager and a management company that the current owners, the Newman Group, doing business as Lake State Commons, they use a group called what was it, Howard, Varsity
Varsity Campus, I believe.
Varsity Campus. So
That's an assumed name for NDG Student Living.
So they have been managing the on-site management of this facility since day one. And if anybody's been through it, it's a pretty classy act. Be nice, to stay there when I went to college, but as we all kind of commented on our phone call, but
They've done a really good job as far as keeping things safe, keeping things clean.
I've not heard an issue at all. As many of you know, not all of you, I am the attorney for the town of Oswego. If there were issues, we'd likely get to the town and the town board and the zoning and code enforcement folks, and I've not been involved in one call or complaint related to this facility since it's open.
The only issue they had actually at this most recent town board meeting was they did discuss the people walking on the street and then the lack of street lights. And so they're gonna be working with National Grid, hopefully get some lighting over there. Because if you've driven by there at night, which I do every day, you can't see those kids at all. It's pretty scary, so. I
Well,
love the idea
yeah.
of the back path
if
there.
they put a walking trail or some sort
Oh,
of
yeah.
other means of getting to campus, that would be very good.
Walking on 104.
Oh, yeah.
Safety
Right,
is key.
skateboard the other day, so.
So,
Scary.
is that something that, that SPG Oswego is gonna be looking at and addressing, the safety of the students walking?
I wasn't involved in that call, this is Howard, but it sounded like, based on what Kevin indicated, that they were considering that walking trail in the back. But I wasn't aware of that issue, but it sounds like they're planning on addressing it.
Yeah, that was actually one of the first enhancement that they discussed on our phone call is the prospects of opening up the trail, which we were all in favor of from the town's perspective back in the day, but we couldn't force SUNY Oswego to there's a strip of land that where the Lakeside Commons property ends, SUNY Oswego begins, and then the road occurs, right? So you can build a trail right up to that line, but there's still
Skipping a jump.
and there's a swale there too, so you need almost like a footbridge to get across it in order to get down into the campus. And so SUNY Oswego just wasn't willing to do anything about that, 5-ish years ago when this was being developed, but maybe there's a new opportunity here.
Has there been conversation to change that, or is it just a hope?
I don't know how detailed the conversations have been yet. I did, in my capacity as town attorney, just put out some feelers to the college community just to see if, you know, they would like to revisit the issue. So I haven't heard anything back yet, but
Well, they were adamant on their phone call with us that number one step that they want to do is get engaged with, when there's a new president coming in, and get engaged and resolve that issue.
Well, just adding to what Tim was talking about, the safety of the students walking on 104, obviously with winter coming up, it's gonna kind of restrict the sides of the roads, the plowing and everything, so I think that's something that really needs to be looked at.
well, good point, Gary, but not only that, that the town is actually going to be constructing a sewer line down 104 all the way down to Thompson Road, right, on both sides of that road. So there's going to be a lot of construction, activity, which is going to further restrict one's ability to, to walk down that road, and that's probably going to be for the next 12 months. It's not going to start until, I don't know that it'll start this fall, but certainly next spring. There's gonna be all kinds of construction activity,
But
right?
from a student's perspective, that will minimize their distance that they will have to walk if they can go north,
Yeah,
as opposed to.
Well, they just, the bird scooter system has just expanded out that way as well, so when you drive out there now, you see half dozen of those bird scooters, the power scooters,
Oh,
right out front of the building. So he's up and down that 104 area, so it's definitely a little bit scary. They do have the shuttle service. I'm assuming, sir, that they are planning on maintaining the shuttle service, that will not be changing?
That's correct. That's correct.
Regardless of what they do with this, I don't think there's any reason for us to deny this issue.
No, I mean, I think I'm comfortable with it. I think the staff is recommending, approval of the assignment and assumption. And at that point, it's just, papering it with, the appropriate, documents, assignment assumption agreement and a probably amended and restated pilot agreement, changing the ownership, reference to the ownership. So.
How many years are left on that pilot, do you know? Was it a 15?
I think it was
20, okay.
Was it 20? Yeah, I thought it was a deviation because there was some consideration related to the financing of this, that it'd be a better deal if it was 20, so. But they're not asking for anything different, they're just taking over what is in place. That's a good thing.
so Kevin, just so I have it right now, we're gonna be looking for a motion for the assignment. How do we phrase this?
Yeah, just a motion to approve the assignment of the Lakeside Commons project to.
SVG Oswego Equities?
Yep.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
okay, we have a motion by Nick Canali, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Len Schick. Any questions? The only concern I would have, Howard, is, having some frank discussions with, SUNY Oswego on this, alternate trail for student access to the campus. I mean, it's great you have a shuttle, but if they're gonna be winter coming on, and if they're gonna be doing these, sewer upgrades that are gonna be going down, I think it's, for the safety of the students, I think that would be something that, should be seriously looked at and discussed.
I agree, and I'll make sure that they're aware of that. And did I hear that there's going to be a new president of the university?
Yes.
And when does he or she take office?
It'd be January 1st, I believe.
All right, so probably. Well, I don't know what the relationship is. If there's anyone at the town that could help with the university, with the college to help, get that approval. It sounds like that's what's holding it up.
Yeah, there is a relationship, and we'll continue to pursue that from multiple angles, and You know, including, I suppose, if there's a need for some type of letter of support, that the agency here would be willing to consider signing such a letter, so.
Not only the agency, but, maybe, Kevin, in your capacity as town attorney, if the town would be willing to,
Oh, yeah.
Voice some support for that as well.
Yep.
That can go a long way.
Certainly.
If that district's county legislator would be very interested in it as well, so.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the assignment. Are there any more questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Nick, had to disappear, but we have a quorum, so motion is carried.
You're all set, Howard?
Thank you. Thanks, I'll drop off. Thanks everyone for your assistance.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
You bet.
Thank you, Aaron.
Take care now.
You're
Bye-bye.
okay with that, right, Nick?
Aye.
Nick, do you wanna add your vote to the yes for that? For approving that? Yeah, okay.
He made a motion.
Sorry.
Okay, all right, so, number 4, Highland Animal Hospital update.
Wanna do that, Kevin?
Oh, sure,
You gotta use the last initial.
so that's for me?
Yeah.
Okay. So Highland Animal Hospital is a project going on in Central Square. I think we talked about this actually at the last meeting, but we're not ready, we did approve an initial resolution, actually, and Tracy came in to speak with us about the project. So the project continues, it's going through kind of site plan design and then site plan review later this fall. So we'll be looking toward probably pilot approval towards the end of the year, I would assume maybe at the November meeting, depending on when they get their planning board approval. But it looks like financing is more or less moving forward and should be in good shape to break ground in the spring, so.
The secret process is being delayed too because of the site planning and hasn't been.
So the property issue, everything with the property is taken care of?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, they acquired the property. I guess the one issue is how to subdivide it, but that's no big deal. And but it's we were fortunate to Kevin and I, when we had the public hearing, which has already been held, to get a tour of the facility. And I mean, I've been in it a lot because I've had a lot of dogs. I've been in a lot of animal hospitals, but I've never been in one where the folks working there were so cordial and nice and wanted to show you everything, including the dog poop tray, everything. I mean,
Too much
they
detail, Mike. Way too much detail.
So I think it's going to really be a good business asset for.
So, just refresh, their request is a pilot, and that's it right now?
As of right now, yeah. I mean, they have applied for a CFA. They haven't heard back on that yet. But I mean, they got their financing with TD Bank, and so are they still doing the 504 and the
Yes,
1078?
yeah, 504, TD Bank.
Yeah.
Looks that way. And there was no comments at the public hearing, no one attended other than Tracy, Mike, and I, so. Yeah. So we'll be ready to go this fall.
Anybody else have any questions or anything on the Highland Animal Hospital? Okay, article number 5, the Exelon support letter.
Go over that.
Sure, well, there was a request, let me back up. Exelon Corporation is divesting their electrical generation company from their
Parent company.
well, yeah, they're splitting up, I guess, the
For utilities,
yeah, generation and what is it, not transmission. Um,
Distribution.
yeah, I'm drawing a blank
It's
here.
National Grid. That would be pretty much National Grid's hands.
Yeah, well, around here, but Exxon's around, in other states.
So their parent company and their electrical generation company are separated. But in order to do that, they need the permission of the Public Service Commission
Oh.
to separate those two entities out, right? And so they have asked various stakeholders for letters of support to build the record with the Public Service Commission. So the IDA was asked to do that, Upstate Energy Jobs was asked to do that, at least locally. I'm sure that there were multiple others, I can imagine, although I don't know, like the IDW.
I think the county sent letters of support.
And so this
In
was,
fact, I know they did.
this was the effort to do that, just to essentially build a record. It was, it's a fairly, I think, invasive or, non-consequential issue for us. It doesn't change any of the business relationships, the pilot agreements that the companies are under with the communities and that the IDA has been involved in. None of that changes the clean energy standard that
They won't be forming a
set
new
program.
company though.
It's not a new company, it's a separate company. I mean, they may identify themselves a little bit differently, although I think it's gonna be Exelon Corporation and then Exelon Generation Company,
Okay.
LLC.
Yeah.
So it's all part of the same.
So wouldn't we have to change it to the right name, to Exxon Energy Corporation?
We might, if the approval happens. I mean, this is still in the process, and I don't know frankly how long that's going to last. These things don't happen overnight, so I would imagine several months from now we might get some notification that the company's has formally
The
changed.
pilot was it? I thought the pilot was with.
Well, the pilots are with 9 Mile Point Nuclear Generation Company, so that would fall under the Exelon Generation Company LLC. It would be a subsidiary. So I don't know that we would necessarily. I'll take a look at the documents, but my initial reaction is it's probably not. It's going to be covered under Exelon Generation Company LLC and 9 Mile Point Nuclear Station LLC is a separate entity within the.
It would just be an assignment.
If
Anyway.
if there was a necessity to do that. Let's put it this way, I haven't been contacted by anyone at Exelon Legal saying, hey, we need to clean this up as part of our PSC proceeding, and usually they're on top of that stuff.
Yeah.
So that request may come if they get approval, but it hasn't at this point.
And it has no effect on the operation of the plants. They're gonna operate
No.
just under the agreements we have in place now. The only thing we have to deal with is this carbon-free New York issue that we're working on.
So does this, I don't remember the requirements when it comes to us in the whole lobbying thing. I mean, obviously a letter of support, just speaking generally is not lobbying, but where does that start? When does lobbying start? Because we're not allowed to do that, right? That's one of the things, but how does that separate, I guess, the question?
This is, I always defer to Kevin on this one now.
It is there are carve-outs within the lobbying law that allow for public and private entities to provide letters of support that have a kind of a general public interest, right? As opposed to specifically affecting legislation or policy that impacts the company. Right? It's kind of a subtle distinction, but this falls under that public advocacy. Hey, we think it's a good idea.
What?
As
It makes a lot of sense, but we highlight in the letter, you know, the Zacks
Yeah.
and some of the other stuff, we talked about upstate energy jobs.
Right.
Just wanna make sure that, you know, that was acceptable, 'cause it makes sense, I mean,
Sure.
I'm sure we support it, just wasn't sure, getting that kind of weird gray areas.
Yeah, that's one thing I think we've learned to be very cognizant of. And Kevin sent a letter addressed from Upstate Energy Jobs, not me, and we did it from the IDA. Probably Operation Oswego County, and the county hasn't done it too. So that was one thing that we look at very closely. And I lean heavily on Kevin with his experience, and he's kept us on the straight and narrow as far as the issues.
Sounds good.
So, so that letter is out, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. Anybody have any questions?
We got it. You want anything to endorse this, or you already said it, right? Just let us know if you did.
Yeah, just information.
Alright.
Okay. Okay, any other comments or questions on that? Okay. Tim, good point, glad you brought that up. Next great idea, I guess, Austin, you're on deck.
Sure. So the next great idea is a business plan competition that we originally developed in 2008. We've had 5 competitions. This is actually we've had 5 competitions. For this year, this competition started as a $25,000 winner-take-all competition. We then expanded it to a $50,000 winner-take-all. This year, there's actually $90,000 in prizes and services, $50,000 to the winner, and then $40,000 split between second and third, which is a combination of cash and business services. For this competition, we received 24 submissions back in May. Over the last 3 months, we then selected, the judges selected 14 to go on to the next phase. From there, 11 sent in at the beginning of September full business plans, which is the most we've ever actually received in terms of people who've followed through. Last time we had 33 submissions and only 9 of them actually followed through. From the 15 that were selected, 9 followed through to actually give us a business plan. So 11 full business plans. I've looked through them. Obviously, they're all different kinds of ideas and in different areas of the county, but really excited about that, seeing that we've had the most. Just give you a little breakdown of the different types of industries we're looking at. 4 of them are in sort of the brewery agribusiness. And that's of the ones the 11 that have sent into full business plans. So there's obviously different breakdowns of other ones that didn't get that far, but 4 brewery agribusiness, 1 healthcare and services, 1 manufacturing, 3 service businesses, 1 tourism, and I kind of say there's actually more than 1 tourism, but I broke the brewery agribusiness ones out separate. So there's really 5 kind of tourism, I guess, depending on how you qualify that, and then another one that's retail. So that's what the 11 are. There's several of them that are in the city of Oswego, city of Fulton, town of Mexico has a couple. There's a couple of them out on the eastern side of the county, and 1 of them up in the Lacona area. So there's a good spread of projects all over the county. Like I said before, there's going to be different this year. There's going to be 3 winners. So we think that kind of helped a little bit in terms of more people getting their business plans in because they think they have a better chance to win versus just one winning the whole thing. The winner will be selected November 16th. The winners will be selected then. The early in October, the judges will get back to us with who the finalists are going to be that will go on to present, and then we'll determine who those 3 winners are. But the other thing to say is that all projects that don't win are still going to be assisted. So anybody who goes through this process and has provided us business plans, they have something they can bring to us, and we can help them go get funding outside of the competition, either via banks or even to submit through to grant programs through Empire State Development or whatever else may be eligible to them. But that's something that we definitely want to make sure that we help anyone who put this work together to find the right resources that they can still get their business off the ground or get it to where it needs to be. So really excited about that. We'll be, like I said, we'll be wrapping that up before the end of this year. And hopefully you know, like I said, we'll have 3 winners that come out of it, but we may see, you know, 10 or 11 businesses that come out because they've actually put together those full business plans and can actually then, you know, as long as they can find the resources that they need, you know, they can go forward as well.
Is there another pairing of that group down to finalists, like
Yes.
5 or?
Yeah,
have you-
in the past, it's been in the range of 3 to 5. It gets cut down to. Really, it's going to depend on where the scores fall that the judges give us back on that. If there's like a really tight pairing of 4, it'll be 4. If it's a tight pairing of 5, it'll be 5. If it's a tight pairing of 3, it might just be 3 that go to the finals, and then they just find out where they are in the pecking order. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to bring somebody in who's like very, very low shot just to say we're gonna have another cut down.
Right.
So we'll figure that out. And it's in the past it's always really just come down to the scores where the scores start to drop off and you know do it that way. And they understand that too. They know it's sort of there's a range of what it could
Was
be.
it 2 years ago? Last year again was a wash, but 2 years ago there was a presentation,
Yep.
breakfast or something. Is
It
that
was a luncheon. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
luncheon scheduled this time for November 16th. As of now, where it's still on. I mean, we'll see what happens in another month or two. You know, I didn't think 2 months ago we'd be back where we were with COVID, and now we are. So we'll see. But as of now, yeah, we have a luncheon scheduled over at the Lake Ontario Event Conference Center for Tuesday, November 16th, and the winners will be announced at that time.
Austin, do you follow up on past winners to see
Yep.
where they stand as far as their businesses?
Yeah. We typically we do that for 3 years. So what we do is we actually, and sometimes we go further if they need more help. But for any winner, we require them to submit for 3 years information to us so that we can kind of track, like we do with any other project. We can track, jobs, investment. We have a conversation. We see if there's any sort of red flags, if there's any obstacles that need to be, overcome to kind of get where they need to go. The last one was at Albert's with Warner Telecom. Ed has it pretty well figured out. Still reach out to Ed and provide any assistance he needs. But he's one of those who didn't really need our help to kind of push along. For him it was more, the funding and the recognition that the business got. But for other ones in the past, yeah, they've needed some help to get where they need to go.
Anybody else have any questions for Austin?
I just want to thank that, in this room alone, I mean, there's several people who've been judges before, there's people who've been sponsors before, and there's people, Tim's on the steering committee for us, so just, to think that there's a lot of local support for this, both, fundraising and just, assisting and acting as advisors to the program. So I want to thank them.
I'd like to, if I could, thank Austin and operations and staff who really helped put this on. It's such an important program, and in a time that we have had for the last 2 years, something like this that helps motivate small business owners to get out there, to actually do the next steps. It gives them the support to do it, and then funds to get it done. Even without the winners, to follow up and provide them with what thing they don't know, how to get to that next step. I'm just very thankful that we have this program, so thank you again.
And just one other thing I wanted to add is I've had several of and it's happened in the past, but I think that they were maybe a little bit more vocal this time, is that there were several of the people who submitted, and when they gave me their business plan, they said, thanks so much for the opportunity for this. Even if we don't win, we feel like we've learned so much, and we feel much more confident about doing this regardless if we win or not. And we've heard that in the past, but I mean, that's in essence why we do this. There's sort of a carrot at the end, but the carrot's really only going to help a couple. But to get all these other people more confident in actually putting together a business plan where they probably would not have before, and you kind of have to incentivize them in some of the cases to do that.
And
So
also let them know there's an organization, an agency that's out there to work with them and help them.
well, multiple.
Yeah.
We work with the SBDC on this. John Halloran helped put together probably 75% of those business plans that were submitted. So I mean, we're using all the tools in the toolbox to help make this happen.
Well, it's really good for their resume when they're going to the bank to have demonstrate that they put the effort in, they're ready to think through this. I mean, we've had so many people historically had no idea. I mean, I want to do this, but nothing on paper, nothing concrete, and they go to the bank and not a very good first impression with the lender.
Well, and Wagner over at the Business Magazine, he's going to do a write up on all the finalists. I mean, it's good recognition and promotion for them, regardless if they win the whole thing or if they win a smaller part of it to get their name out and their idea and let people know what to do. It's good.
Well, it's good too. I'm certainly glad that it was expanded in terms of 3 winners. I mean, it's a little sad to come in and 5 businesses there that were competing and there's 1 winner and everybody else walks away. I mean,
Yeah.
now there's going to be 3, which is, you know.
Is it 3 equal winners?
No, it's 50,000, and then there's a
Then how
25
can you
and
be a
15.
winner if you're
Well,
an equal winner?
You know, participation, yeah, that's a
It's,
big thing right now.
No, it's a good question. No, it is important because I mean a lot of them they're developing their business plan around the assumption of getting 50,000. So if they don't get 50,000, they need to recalibrate, what they're doing. It's 50,000, then 25 and 15. That's the way it's broken down. But the second and third place winners are getting business services, which can help them to either improve their marketing strategy, their promotion, their branding, all these other things that it definitely has dollar values to it.
Did you say the top ones are gonna give a presentation?
The final, so the way we do it is, the finalists give a presentation earlier than the actual awards luncheon, so the judges have a chance to take that into consideration as part of their final score. That typically happens on the Friday before, and we do that over at the SBDC. We record it all, and then we take sort of the highlights and we put it together into sort of like a little bit of a highlight video on each project that are then shown at the awards luncheon.
So that has an impact then on the final score,
Yes.
the presentation?
Yep. Yes, it does. It's a sharp, that part of it, so I should have said all this. So the first part of it is a business concept essay. It's a 1,000-word essay or less about what your idea is, what the competition is, sort of the opportunity, why it's now and why it's Oswego County. The second part is, and what we just got back from them, is a full business plan. So the ones that were selected from that business concept essay, we said, listen, we think these are the ideas that should go forward in the people. They then put together full business plans. In November, right before that awards luncheon, like the week before, it's gonna be a Shark Tank style where the finalists are gonna go in front of the judges, give a 10-minute speech or a 10-minute pitch, and then they have a 10-minute question and answer. And from that, we're gonna select who the winners.
How many finalists did you choose? 5?
We don't know yet because we haven't gotten the scores back from the judges of those 11 business plans. It depends. Like I said, it depends on the scoring from this round that we're doing right now. In the past, it's been anywhere from 3 to 5. So
Yeah,
That's what
open,
you're saying.
last time it was 4. 4 of them went to were finalists and 1 was selected. So I mean, I'm leaning towards 3 right now, so that way all of them get something instead of having 4 go and 1 walks away unhappy. But at the same time, it's better chances than 4 go and only 1 gets something. So
Is that open?
what's that?
Is that, when they give the presentation, is that open?
It's not, especially right now. In the past, it was sort of invite only for that, but we did record all of it. So we have those, and we create sort of, like I said, like a highlight video with each one, and those are publicly available. Those will be on our website. They'll be available to the finalists to use as part of anything that they do going forward, and it's just a good thing for us to have to show the kinds of ideas that are coming out of this. Len, is that something you're interested in going to? You want to go to see the thing? Or?
Yeah, I might be interested.
Okay, let me see if I can get you an invite for that.
And how many, from past experience, how many folks that didn't win went on to get assistance and are now up and running and doing?
It depends. I mean, a lot of them without the funding, like they don't go forward. That's why this time we're doing a blend of funding and services, because I think that services for some of them would be just as good as the funding. It depends on if you're looking at everyone who participates or just the finalists. If you're looking just at finalists, I'd say probably half of them. Like if you look at last time, for example, it was Ed. It was a student-run business idea called Charta of the college. That one they didn't do anything with that.
The fishing.
The fishing did. So I mean that one was 50%, and then the other one was the Hope Cafe, which they were going to develop a Moliente product, which was like a kombucha product. But they were in Onondaga County. They were going to come here if they won. They didn't win, so they didn't. So it was about 50% then. I would say it's anywhere between, a quarter to 50%, depending on. But I think this time it's going to be obviously as we have more finalists, more winners. We'll have more that go forward.
Okay,
Great.
very good, Kevin, excellent program, excellent competition, for Austin. Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Austin. Number 7, open meetings law discussion.
So this is a COVID related issue. Recall that virtually all of last year we were virtual, and that was by way of executive order, where the governor issued an executive order that suspended the requirements of the open meetings law for public participation in public meetings. The IDA falls under that as a public entity, and so we were authorized to hold remote meetings without the necessity of involving public participation on a regular basis. The executive law was always discretionary. It didn't mandate that public authorities or public bodies hold meetings remotely, but it gave them the option to do it, right? And most did. I'm not aware of many that always met, directly in person, particularly in the height of COVID last year. So that executive order expired over the summer, and just recently, I think it was last month, the state legislature then adopted a law that now authorizes public bodies to meet remotely, at least through January, I believe it's 15th. It doesn't change anything that was done previously, other than it's now law and not an executive order. Again, it doesn't mandate public bodies to meet remotely, but it gives them the option to do that. If you do meet remotely, you have to give the public the opportunity to know about it and access to the meeting, but the public participation in that meeting is still suspended. And again, public bodies can allow public participation, but they don't have to, and it's all based on health and safety issues related to COVID. So as it relates to this body, you're certainly authorized to go back to remote meetings if needed or you want to, but you don't have to. If you do hold public meetings like this, the public is invited to attend, sit, and participate to the extent that you allow public participation.
That's one of that empty seats.
Yeah. And this is separate and distinct to some extent from required public hearings like this agency has, the county ledge, every town and village. You have public hearings on various matters, local law, adoptions, etc. You still have to hold public hearings. You can hold public hearings remotely, but you have to have the public access available and the public allowed to participate by voicing their opinion. But in regular meetings, there is no legal requirement to have the public actually engage in debate or dialogue with a public board, but the public is allowed to observe it, right? So that's all, and that's always been the rule. Every board handles it a little differently, but the bottom line here is that at least through January 15th at this point in time, every public body has the right to go back to remote meetings. So, any questions on that?
With the executive order, that had to be renewed on a regular basis?
Every 30 days,
Yeah.
it was renewed.
So this kind of skips that process and makes it a law until
Yep.
January, and so
Exactly.
if we want to schedule something at some point if in, say, November, things get worse and we wanna go remote, we can do that
Absolutely.
without having to worry about it.
Yep.
Kevin, does this also apply to public hearings and things like that, or is this just?
Well, yeah, it would, if you felt, it was necessary to hold a remote meeting, for, for health and safety reasons, you can schedule a public hearing, but you have to let the public know that, this is the call-in number, this is the time, date, and place, and if they, the public has a comment, then they're entitled to, make those comments.
Yeah, I think the timing of this was good, because I was just looking this morning, and I think Oswego County just topped 100 COVID deaths. And also, they said over the last week or two, hospitalizations have increased 300%. I think we're pushing 500 hospitalizations, so, this wasn't from the county, this was
Okay.
something, that was reported, so. And if it's close, I mean, it's something that we should probably consider, but, like Nick said, we'll wait and see what happens.
It's good to have it as an option.
Definitely. Anybody else have any questions on the open meetings law or the law? Okay. Right now, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session, please. Okay, motion by Morris Sobello, seconded by Nick Canale, with the time, Lynn?
9:52.
9:52. And Kevin, the reason for going into executive session is?
To discuss the financial, history of a particular individual or corporation.
Okay. All those in favor of going into executive session?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, okay? Mr. Kamath.
11/17.
We'll do the motion and everything again.
Oh, we got another meeting.
Should be okay now.
Okay, motion to come out of executive session, Nick Canali, seconded by Tim Stahl.
Sure.
All those in favor?
Alright.
Opposed? And at what time, Lynn?
11/17.
11:17. Kevin, would you, have Kevin come back in, please?
We're ready for you, Tom.
Okay.
Oh, we did?
Okay, now that we're out of executive session, we have a couple agenda items to, deal with. First, the delinquent loan report. Do I have a motion to accept the delinquent loan report?
I'll make it.
Motion by Nick Canali, seconded by
Glenn Schick.
Len Schick. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, the next is, Council Kevin Caracoli's letter requiring a fee increase. Do I have a motion to accept the fee increase?
I'll make it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Tim Stahl, seconded by Nick Canali. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
And, other business, Mike?
Just scheduling the next meeting. I don't know whether it's a timing issue relative to the item on the next meeting agenda. I think late October is okay.
I think so, yeah.
What about,
The 31st, and we can dress up.
that's a good
Coming up
idea.
Sunday?
My birthday.
Is the 31st your birthday?
How about, Monday the 25th or Tuesday the 26th of October?
Tuesday would be better for me.
Good for Tuesday.
Tuesday's good for me too.
25th or so?
26.
Tuesday the 26th.
At
10,
9?
26.
Hey.
Okay. Anything else? Next meeting, October 26th, Tuesday, October 26th at 9 o'clock. Okay, motion to adjourn?
I'll make it. Second.
Motion to adjourn by Tim Stahl, seconded by Morris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Okay, Kevin?
11/20.